You know, I have played a lot of games in my lifetime, and obviously there are some that I have played much more than others. So I thought it would be fun to list the games I have played the most and sort them out by which decade they were released in. So for this video, I have decided to make a list of games that I have played the most from the 90s. It doesn't mean the games I played the most in the 90s, it just means the games I have played the most in my life that are from the 90s. So many great games came out in the 90s, but as you will notice, there will be some major titles missing from this list. And it's not because those games are bad or I don't like them. It's because I have not put in as much time into those as I did with these games. Mainly because I didn't own those games back then and didn't get to play a lot of them until I was much older. So don't get mad when your favorite game of that decade isn't on this list. There are a lot of games that would easily make my favorite list that are not here. This list is solely for the games that I have played the most. Also, I'm not going to get into much depth about the games. These aren't reviews. I am simply just going to explain why I enjoy these games. Because if I were to review all of them in this video, there'd be a lot to go through, and it would take a long time. The list was originally going to be 10 games, but then I quickly thought of 20, and then 26. So yeah, the magic number for this list is 26. This will be split into two parts because there are a lot of games to cover. Instead of starting with the most played, let's start with the least of the most played and work our way up to the top played. So let's just get started. Number 26, Super Castlevania 4. Now who doesn't love Castlevania? I sure do, and Super Castlevania 4 is easily one of the best in the entire series. Personally, it's my favorite. It's one of the best 2D action hack and slash platformers ever. Graphics are great, and most of the music was awesome. I say most because some tracks are just forgettable. So in my opinion, the soundtrack is not as good as the original Castlevania games on the NES. It's still a fun, challenging game that every Super NES owner should have in their collection though. I will say some of the later bosses in the game are a complete bitch to fight, and some of the levels are just tedious. But for the most part, it's a fun game. But sadly, this amazing game just barely made the list. And it's not because it's not awesome, but because I didn't own it as a kid, and I didn't get to play it until way after I finished high school. But as you can see, it's on here. So let that tell you how awesome it really is, because once I discovered it, I played it a lot. Number 25, Super Metroid. Again, another amazing game I didn't own or play until way after I finished high school. But just like Super Castlevania 4, here it is. Super Metroid is a 16-bit masterpiece. The world, the music is just so atmospheric. You just have a feeling of isolation throughout the whole game. Anyone will tell you it's easily one of the best games on the Super NES. Metroid has always been more of a mature game compared to the other Nintendo franchises, which is one of the reasons why I really love Metroid, and it really helps it stand out from the other franchises. Super Metroid is so good, dark, kick-ass, and atmospheric, it ends up being the video game version of Ridley Scott's Alien. But then of course, Metroid was always influenced by the film Alien. I mean, come on, one of the enemies is named Ridley. This is the Metroid title that made me fall in love with the series. It's beautiful and fun as hell. If you haven't played it, what the hell is wrong with you? What are you doing? Go play it now. Seriously, it's one of the best games for the Super NES. I got my copy at the flea market, and I know I paid too much, but damn it, I wanted to own the actual cartridge, so I said fuck it, and I got it. Number 24, Power Stone.
Now, communication to the Aboriginal War.
Oh yeah, we're jumping all the way up to the Sega Dreamcast. Now, there isn't really a whole lot of content in Power Stone, but what it does have is an amazing, fun, fast fighting combat action. The characters all look very distinct, and the art style for each character is great, and they all have a great design to them. This is one of the first games I ever played on the Sega Dreamcast, which I'm very glad it was, because I sunk many hours into this one. But sadly, there is a fault with Power Stone. The AI sucks, or let's just say it's not really smart. They mainly just focus on collecting the power stones instead of really trying to fight you, because once those power stones appear, they just seem to forget about you and they just rush the stones until they're all gone. And even when you do have them, they only hit you because they want to knock the power stone out of you just so they can go get that one. And it kind of messes up the flow of fighting, which is one bad thing about the title. So yeah, the AI could have been much better. But that didn't stop me from playing it a lot, because it's still a fun game, and it's even better with another player. So if you can, try to play it with a second player, because at least then you can focus on the actual combat rather than just always hunting down the power stone.
Challenge 1. Are you ready?
Number 23, House of the Dead 2.
The House of the Dead.
Okay, yeah, let's stay on the Dreamcast for a bit, with my personal favorite light gun on-rail shooter of all time. House of the Dead 2 is awesome. It looks great, and it's just a blast to play. House of the Dead 2 has some of the worst voice acting ever.
I've been waiting for you, friends.
Goldman!
But that's part of its charm, and it leads to a lot of laughs. My friend Kevin and I always quote the lines from this game, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. House of the Dead easily got the most play from me on the Dreamcast, so much that this disc stopped working, which sucked. But I just burned a new copy and I'm all set to go. The entire series is great, but this one is the best. And if you want even more House of the Dead 2 action on the Dreamcast, there's also Typing of the Dead 2, which is just House of the Dead 2, but you have to use the keyboard and becomes one of those typing games, which looks pretty damn cool. And I've never played it, but once I do get the keyboard for the Dreamcast, I will play that game.
I don't want to die! My God.
Number 22, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This is one of my favorite beat-em-ups ever, even though it is quite basic compared to the legendary beat-em-up games that we all know and love, but the gameplay and music has always kept me coming back for more. What kid in the 90s didn't love the Power Rangers? So playing this game a lot was just a no-brainer. It was fun, it had great music, and it was the Power Rangers. How could you say no? I actually didn't own this game back in the day, but I did play it at my cousin's whenever I had the chance, and I did emulate it when I first found out about emulators. And I played the shit out of this game, even still to this day. I play it every couple months. It's not very long or hard, but I think that's one reason I can go back to it so often, because I can play it and beat it in like 30 minutes or less. Number 21, The Jungle Book. You know, it's weird to think there was a game on the Genesis and the Super NES for a movie that came out in 1967, but I'm sure most kids like myself had the VHS of The Jungle Book and loved it. I know I did. It's not the best Disney game on the Genesis, at least in my opinion, but it was still fun enough to keep me playing over and over and over and over again. But looking back at it now, how the fuck did I ever beat this game? It's really hard, or at least it's hard to me now. This game is no fucking joke. I don't remember it being this difficult, but regardless, it has a special place in my heart. I spent many hours playing this game over and over and over again, honing my skills until I beat it. It's a great game, so just pick it up. I mean, come on, it's the Jungle Book. I mean, who doesn't love the Jungle Book? And I don't mean that shitty ass modern remake. That movie sucks ass. I'm talking about the real Jungle Book. Number 20, World of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse. Now, I already reviewed this game, and if you haven't seen it, I will put it in the description, so you should go check that out. And that video will tell you why I played it so much, and still play it to this day. It's a great side-scroller with interesting level designs, with multiple campaigns and co-op, and has a great soundtrack. Mickey Mouse games are usually great, especially back in the 16-bit era. So if you want to know more about that game, go check out my review, and then go pick up the game and play it, because it's awesome. Number 19, Pokemon Red and Blue. Just like the Power Rangers, what 90s kid didn't instantly fall in love with Pokemon? It was everywhere. You had the anime, the trading cards, toys, stuffed plush dolls, and of course, the original games that started it all on the Game Boy. Pokemon Red and Blue. Just amazing games. Well, technically Pokemon Green, but that was only in Japan. Here in America, we had Red and Blue. Almost everyone I knew in school had a Game Boy and had these games. I never had a Game Boy, but I played these two games on the Super Game Boy for the Super NES. I personally liked this better because it was on a bigger screen and had color, so it was a win-win for me. So I have all my Pokemon toys, cards, and stuffed animals still, somewhere. I'll never get rid of it. It was my childhood. Sure, a lot of people find faults with Gen 1, but Gen 1 is really the only gen I like. I don't really care about any gen after Gen 2. These games are still fun today, but I would suggest you pick up the remakes on the Game Boy Advance instead. Those look much better. Number 18, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I remember playing this on the Genesis when I was a kid, and I loved it, but looking back at it, there are a lot of stages I fucking hate. I personally think Sonic 1 is a much better game, but I played this one the most. I still remember the day I got to the final boss fight with Sonic and lost. I was so pissed, but having nothing else to do back then, I decided to try again, but this time as Tails. And you know what? I beat it. Yeah, I beat it first with Tails. Then after that, I tried it again with Sonic and finally beat it with him. And I loved Sonic the Hedgehog 2, even though I don't like it as much as the first game. But this will always be a childhood favorite for me. And it is a fun game, regardless of what I just said. I would still recommend it any day. Number 17, Warcraft II.
Mighty army of Azeroth lay among the blackened and charred remains of Stormwind Keep. Those that escaped fled across the Great Sea, bringing tales of the suffering they had faced at the hands of the Orcish hordes.
I remember when my friend Alan introduced me to my first PC gaming love. He brought a game to school so that I could play it in our computer class. I installed it, and there it was, Warcraft 2. I played it the whole class. I fell in love with that game instantly, and RTSs as a genre. If anything, it is most likely because of my friend Alan that I started playing on PC. So, Alan, thank you for that. Warcraft 2 was a great RTS with nice graphics and nice humor. I liked it so much, he made me a copy of his Warcraft 2 Battle.net edition that came with the base game and the expansion. I have fond memories of this game, and Warcraft 2 showed me there were real games on the PC, which I never knew that PC actually had real games, which seems stupid now, but you know, I was never exposed to PC gaming back then until Warcraft 2. Playing it now feels a bit clunky, but you know what, who the fuck cares? I still enjoy it, and I'll still play it every now and then. You know, it's Warcraft 2. It's still a great RTS, even with its flaws.
Would you want me to? You the boss. You the boss. We're being attacked! Don't Alright.
Number 16, The Lion King. I still remember seeing The Lion King in the theaters, and it was so awesome. It was amazing. You know, I loved that film, and I had the toys, and I played with them all the time. And since we had the Sega Genesis, and since my brothers loved Disney, it was a no-brainer that we had that game. The Lion King looks great, and it has a lot of good music. It is a bit on the difficult side, but that doesn't stop it from being fun. I completely forgot how challenging it really is. Some parts are just really annoying. I did beat it when I was a kid, but it was always a bitch to throw off Scar at the end. So I died many times at that part, and sometimes I even had to start over just to work my way back to the ending, and eventually I was finally able to throw his ass off. I was so happy and fucking relieved. And it's funny, the first time we put the game into the Sega Genesis, it was me and my two brothers were there, and we couldn't wait to see the game for the first time. And when we started it up, it showed Timon, and he says, "It starts."
It starts.
But we all laughed because we thought he said, "It sucks." We had to restart the game to hear it again to make sure that's not what he said. You know, I mean, we all heard it. It just like, was Timon telling us this game sucks? I mean, wouldn't that be like shit? You buying a game and then the game tells you it sucks? Oh, but you know, that was just some fun times back then. Number 15, Street Fighter II. You should have known this was going to be on here. Everyone in the 90s was playing Street Fighter 2. But technically, we had Super Street Fighter 2 for the Sega Genesis. And you know what? Man, it was fucking awesome. One of the best fighters of all time, with some of the best music in any fighting game to this day. The characters and music and stages are all classic. It's even better when you play with a second player. I like some of the other Street Fighters, but none will ever compare. to Street Fighter II. There's a reason why Capcom keeps updating and remaking it. It's a perfect game. Later on, I did get a version of Street Fighter II for the Super NES as well, and of course it looked better and had better music. But most of my nostalgic memories for Street Fighter II comes from the Genesis version. I loved playing it back then, and I still love playing it now. Number 14, Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, I'm just gonna combine all of these. I played the shit out of all 4 of these games. We owned the first 3 Mortal Kombat games on the Sega Genesis. And man, did me and my brothers and sisters play the shit out of these games. Everyone in the 90s had Mortal Kombat fever. The original film was badass, and I still love it to this day. The Mortal Kombat album was awesome, and I would listen to it while playing these games. Eventually, I played Mortal Kombat 4 on the PlayStation, and it was not as good as the first 3, but that didn't stop me from playing all the time. The better version is easily Mortal Kombat 4 Gold on the Dreamcast. I made a review about that, and if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Street Fighter 2 was great, but it didn't have the blood and fatality like Mortal Kombat. Personally, Mortal Kombat is the only fighting game that has a story that is worth paying attention to. I love all these games. Mortal Kombat will always be the best fighting series to me. Okay, that's 13 down. So that's it for part 1. I will get to my top 13 most played 90s games in part 2. I hope you enjoyed this so far, and I hope you come back to watch part 2. Until then, keep on gaming, gamers.